Has one small thing ever ruined your day completely and then made you doubt everything that you ever did? Your experience, am I suited to this? Am I good enough? Do I deserve this? Who am I to continue? Maybe I should just stop completely, right? You hear negative comment. It might not even be negative. It could just be a comment, feedback that we perceive as negative. Now it just ruins our whole day. Sad day. And when things were going and our perception of things were going, we were on top of the world. Next thing we know, we see a comment, we feel something, we see something external from us, whatever that is. Could be an article, could be feedback, a horrible YouTube comment talking about how ugly we are, or even a comment within constructive comments within maybe a talk that we gave. Maybe they don't like our face, or maybe they don't like our content, the way that we talk. Maybe they don't like the fact that you don't use your right hand enough, or they feel excluded. They feel like there's favoritism. You feel like there's no favoritism. They feel like there's favoritism. Or whatever contradicting, conflicting beliefs, because there's two sides, right? And then we start to take things personally, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? Who is this person to say that, right? And it's because we have this belief about ourselves and this self-concept that makes us believe that we aren't that way, and now we get offended, we take it personally, because that part of ourselves we don't accept. We reject that part of ourselves, and we're just like, what is this person talking about, right? And it's the emotional charge of self-doubt that gets in our way and then ruins our day. Or what most people do, it gets us into this habit loop of self-doubt, fear, anxiety, depression, a plethora of negative emotions that hold us down. And we want to hide, avoid, not do it anymore. And why am I even continuing to do something that I absolutely fucking hate, right? This comes down to self-doubt. What I'm going to be talking about today is how to stop self-doubt. This internal concept and barrier could come in a variety of different forms. It could be fear. It could be fear of talking to somebody. It could be fear of talking on YouTube and posting videos because you think your bottom teeth are crooked, right? I had that fear for a long time. I was like, ugh. I had braces when I was in like 7th grade, but I can't tell everybody that. And then I lost my retainer, and now my teeth are slightly crooked. But am I gonna let that and all the comments on YouTube stop me from creating content? I did. That's why I created a bunch of content and created a podcast that reached 10,000 downloads. But the videos, I took my sweet ass time on because I had all of these self-doubts. And usually the self-doubts stem from something that we hate inside ourselves. Whether we hate it internally and we know that we hate it consciously, like there's a conscious effort, or it's something that's a little bit more masked and we just have a reaction to it. And it's something that we actively worked on that we don't believe we have anymore. And now we're self-conscious, we have insecurity around it because we're no longer that. I'm no longer a lazy person. So how dare somebody call me lazy when I work my ass off day in and day out? And when they bring up the fact that they're lazy, why aren't they doing anything else? And why couldn't they bring this up earlier in front of my face? There's different times that I'll hear that, and I'm guilty of doing this as well in the past. It's this self-doubt. And one of the things about self-doubt, and one of the tips I'm going to give today is self-doubt doesn't need to be negative. Why I see all these YouTube videos on how to destroy self-doubt, how to break it into pieces, how to overcome self-doubt, how to never doubt yourself again, right? Why is self-doubt bad? Why is self-doubt bad? Self-doubt isn't bad, and it's actually a way to get constructive feedback and to improve. Why is self-doubt bad? It's because around self-doubt, we have all of these different emotions, initial reactions, all of these things that we believe about ourselves or that we hate about ourselves, that we don't accept about ourselves, that starts to come up, and it validates all our worst fears and insecurities that we've been placing in the back of our mind because we've been desperately trying to avoid it through being perfect, through success, through doing a lot of things, being busy and running away from actually addressing those beliefs that we fucking hate. And because of that, all of those emotions, they're intense, they're uncomfortable, and they make us feel different things. But objectively, whatever you experienced, whether it was a comment from somebody else, it was a look from another person, it was something that you read from another person, it was being ignored by a family member, it was getting yelled at by your boss, it was whatever hamster, shampoo, car accident that came up in your life. There's always going to be something that comes up in our lives, and there's always something that's unexpected. That's just life. And wanting to always have to be perfect so you can avoid the self-doubt and the emotions that come with failing, making mistakes, or if you reframed it, learning, it's those uncomfortable emotions that we so desperately try to avoid. So that's why self-doubt is negative for a lot of people. It's because of the emotional charge of the self-doubt. So you experience something external. So some practices, therapies, methods would call this a circumstance. This is something that happens outside of you that's external. And everything that happens is neutral. And this might be a wild concept to a lot of people, but when you think about it, everything is neutral, and the thing that gives it morality, whether it's good, it's bad, it's positive, it's negative, is our own beliefs. How we grew up, our parents, our peer group, what we value in life. So if we value working hard, not being lazy, even not being lazy is just another belief. So if we don't do something, that to some people is a form of being lazy. But it's more just looking at the action and having no emotional charge to it. And then based on your own filters for how you want to live life, which are usually values. Values is just a simple way of saying, okay, what's important to me? And I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna live life like this because that's how I find life entertaining, fun. This is what I've been grown up to believe, and this is how I enjoy going about my day. Negative emotions are always going to happen. And there's this big need to not feel negative emotions. There's this big need to avoid them. Create a safe space. Instead of what's happening more now is creating a brave space. A safe space, to be honest, is a way for you to go and avoid the negative emotions that are gonna happen regardless if you have a safe space or not. You can't prevent natural disasters. You can't prevent other people being mean to you. You can't prevent all the negative life emotions and events that are gonna be happening. They're gonna happen regardless. And avoiding that for the long term is not a great strategy. But learning how to deal with them because they're going to come up is a way to overcome self-doubt. and to accept that's part of the process. It's okay to have negative thoughts. It's okay to have thoughts. It's okay to perceive them as negative. It's okay that we have all of these overwhelming emotions that we carry. Does that stop us from living an amazing life and building something that we absolutely love? No. You can absolutely be so nervous, riddled with anxiety, want to run away and hide, but still take the action that will change your life and continually do it till you make momentum to push you to where you want to be. So this big thing about getting rid of self-doubt is not the answer, because self-doubt is going to be there in a lot of different forms, a lot of different emotions, a lot of different thoughts. So more accepting that it's going to be there is a better way to help stop self-doubt, because you already know that it's going to come, and it's just a natural process of life. Now you can learn how to better build a relationship with self-doubt. As weird as that sounds, build a relationship with self-doubt, fear. There's been a lot of studies showing on the acceptance of the emotions, then trying to resist against them and making yourself more emotionally tired and depleting your willpower by trying to fight it. Or as Brene Brown calls it, white knuckling it, instead of just accepting the fact that my mind is negative right now. The biggest thing about self-doubt is that we perceive it to be negative, but self-doubt doesn't have to be negative. It's because we personalize it and we make it negative. So one of the first ways to start with self-doubt is when it does pop up, it's okay. It's normal. All of us feel this. Even after working as a confidence coach, I've worked on myself. There's times when I feel it. It's just now I've built a habit around dealing with self-doubt, and I have a relationship with accepting the parts of my life where I have self-doubt. And I accept it, and then I stop the habit loop. Self-doubt is a decision to not try. For some people, you define it as the feelings and the negative emotions that arise from something that happens that makes you doubt yourself, and you stop moving forward. I like to use Mel Robbins' definition of self-doubt, which is a willingness to stop trying, right? Because self-doubt in itself wouldn't matter if you could just keep taking action despite this. So one of the things about self-doubt as well, when you learn to accept that self-doubt doesn't have to be bad and that it's going to be there. It's how do I take action despite my doubts, despite everything that I feel. And when you're able to do that, you're able to change your life. And through competency, I did horrible in 5th grade. I cheated off people. in true story, actually. In like 5th grade, 4th grade, all during our spelling test, I would like pretend. Spelling's not my strong suit. Competency. There's a self-doubt is a habit. It's typically, habits are formed into three different main components, right? Read Charles Duhigg's Power of Habit to learn a lot more, but basically it's stimulus, and then you have action, and then you have a reward. The stimulus is going to be that circumstance, that outside thing that happens that makes you start doubting yourself. You start to overthink, and then your reward is going away from those negative emotions and avoiding, stopping, and then you get a reward from that. Your reward is not feeling those emotions anymore. That's your habit loop. Now you keep internalizing this. Something negative happens, you overthink, you start doubting yourself, you stop doing whatever you wanted to do, and then now your reward in the short term is alleviating all the negative emotions. Oh, let me go do this and let me stop feeling shitty about myself anymore. That's your short-term benefit. We all do this because there's a short-term gain to doing this. It's just like drinking alcohol to numb the pain. I just got out of a relationship. Let me go get hammered and trashed. I don't feel as bad anymore. Short-term benefit. Long-term benefit or consequences is all your career goals, all the things you want to do that are uncomfortable, that have self-doubt, and that you have to do it anyways to grow, to get those skills. You're gonna have to fail hard, fail fast, and keep going. And you're gonna have to struggle and learn to enjoy the process of fucking sucking and making mistakes so that you can go and push forward to where you want to be. A lot of people don't want to do that because they hate the way that it makes them feel. Which brings me to my second point, is once you understand that habit loop, that mental pattern that happens because of self-doubt, and you can do the same thing with confidence. Confidence, the way that Mel Robbins talks about it, and the way that a lot of people that have been making a lot of progress within confidence in general, is that confidence is an action. Confidence is the willingness to try. And a lot of people can make progress even if they don't believe in themselves. I've seen this happen with clients when I was dating coach. They would be people with low self-esteem. They didn't believe that this would work for them, but because of the social anxiety, but also the social pressure, the accountability of being on a program, and the third party showing that their beliefs and what they saw and what they believed about themselves, because we have this lens based on what we believe about ourselves that makes everything horrible. If it's a negative lens, like if you don't have this belief about yourself that you can change things, then when you go through these things, it'll be a lot more intense and you'll eventually give up if you don't get the feedback to move forward and the evidence that you're making progress. So I've seen clients and students that didn't believe anything about themselves, but then they started to see progress. They started to become more objective with their results. Because when we put on these negative insecurity glasses, right, we're viewing life through a distortion, cognitive distortions. And because we have these cognitive distortions, we filter it in by all of the things that we believe about ourselves, about other people, that are objective opinions, that aren't necessarily based in what the facts are and what are the negative emotions, the positive emotions. We're judging it based on that instead of what are just the facts. Everything is neutral. What are the facts and what am I gonna make that mean for myself? I could look at it a whole different way and different perspectives. Which one am I gonna choose that I actually believe in? And being able to be more objective with your thoughts and the results that you're getting is my second tip, is being able to be more objective, because you're biased as fuck. I'm biased as fuck. And being able to get outside perspective, taking yourself out and viewing it from a different perspective that's not internal. Because when we view it from our own personal lens, everything seems so real because it's first person, right? Everything seems more intense. There are different processes, mental processes. I can think of NLP as one of them, and different visualization exercises that would place you, meditation, that would place you outside of yourself to be able to objectively observe yourself and the emotions that you're having. That's the power of visualization. That's the power of meditation, is being able to actively take yourself out of your own body and experience what you're experiencing, and then learn how to identify those emotions, thoughts, recognize them for just that, and then to also start to make objective decisions on what that means to you, and to be able to make progress based on what you believe about whatever we're talking about right now, and being able to objectively see the facts. One of the things that happened recently is a small comment. My girlfriend's the president for one of her clubs in college. There was a small comment based on feedback of somebody getting left out during introductions. Because it's Zoom, it was hard to keep track of everybody. Even the people on her team missed it, and she felt left out. She gave a critical comment, and at first my girlfriend was taking it very personal, right? And then she was able to eventually get out the space where we get outside of our initial reactions, and then she journals. That's her way of being able to process the emotion, take herself out of her own body and look at the emotions and the thoughts and the experiences of what it has, and to be able to grow from that. People do that with meditation. People do this with, some people do this with hypnosis, visualization. There's a lot of different processes that people can do. Sports, surfing, dance, being able to just lose yourself and then think of the emotions and the thought that you're having, and then from an objective point of view. What are the facts that you were actually able to do? Because I remember when I first asked her, she was like, I asked her, you made progress today. What progress did you make? She's like, I made no progress. I didn't learn anything. Which is because you're viewing it from this lens of wanting to, being a little offended, wishing that they spoke up in the moment, and then being mad at yourself because you could have done better. You should have. There's a lot of things that she could have done, and that she was overthinking about. That in the moment she was just like, I could have done this, I could have done that, and it's already in the past. Now, how can you grow from it? And now you take this feedback. It doesn't have to be negative, but a lot of times we do make it negative. And then, so regardless of that, that'll take progress of learning how to minimize the impact of those negative emotions and feelings, to just recognizing that they're just feelings and thoughts. They're just words inside our heads, pictures inside our heads, and they're just physical sensations that we give a meaning to. When you really think about it, that's all they are. And we allow that. Self-doubt is the self-imposed limit of allowing those emotions and those thoughts to hold us back. A decision to not try. So once my girlfriend was able to journal, process the emotions more, minimize the impact, she thought of ways that she can improve for next time, and then be more empathetic to where the girl was and how she was feeling. That's what I'm talking about. Self-doubt doesn't have to be negative. It may feel negative initially, but the way that you process it and the way that you look at it, you can use it to propel you forward, to make you grow, to help you get to where you want to go. And one of the things that's amazing in terms of like having a great day and feeling productive, feeling motivated, is, did you make progress in something that is important to you? It could be anything. Like shooting this video is important to me. I was pacing around for 2 hours. I was pacing around for 2 hours, listening to different YouTube videos, getting inspiration, and then also thinking about like, what is my own take on this? And then now that process of just walking around, figuring out what I want to say, that propels me forward a little bit more. It gets me in the zone. It makes me figure out what I want to say, how I'm growing as a speaker, and how I'm formulating my thoughts before I shoot a video, and how to make this a lot more entertaining and not sound like every motherfucker out there that has a YouTube that is saying the same stuff, right? Because I don't want to say the same stuff. I want to add in something new, so this isn't just the same repeated stuff that you hear all the time. But if it works, I'll still say the same stuff, but maybe I'll twist it in a little different way. For me, that's progress. That's important to me because it helps further my business, further my personal brand, and it's a skill that I've always wanted to work on. I love speaking. This is like a creative outlet. I love the self-confidence that it gives me. I love the person that it's helping me to grow into. For you, overcoming self-doubt is going to be objectively seeing those experiences that we're having, the negative thought, the negative emotions, and then what are the facts? Learning how to minimize that, or what are the facts from this, and then making incremental changes and progress in the things that are important to us. Because the other way to overcome self-doubt, or more stop self-doubt, you're gonna have self-doubt and might as well live with him or her and be happy and create a relationship where it's no longer something that's negative. It could be uncomfortable, but you can also learn how to be okay with the uncomfortability. Learn how to strive under how uncomfortable that is. So the third tip is being able to make progress, to be able to there's a competency loop, right? And it's being able to work on a skill, and the more competence that you get from it, the more that you do it, and the more that you feel like you're making progress, even just small progress. And a belief that actually helps too is having the belief that you can grow. So one of the most epic books on mindset. Is called Mindset by Carol Dweck. She did a bunch of research at, I believe, Columbia University on what made people successful, I believe. What made people successful, and the difference between people who achieved their goals and people who didn't achieve their goals. One of the biggest patterns that she saw from the people who were successful and the people who were not was a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. You probably heard this time and time again from a lot of different people, Tom Bilyeu, from a bunch of everybody else, but I'm going to reiterate here because it's important. Sometimes people don't explain what this means. Basically, fixed mindset, you have this fixed belief, and it could be in any area of your life, that you can't change. You can't change no matter what you do. You can't change, you can't grow in your intelligence. I'm born with this personality trait. I'm born with this physical fitness. I'm born with this charisma. I'm born with this ability to talk to men or women. And there's no use, no matter how hard I try, I'm never gonna change. Fixed mindset. Growth mindset, there's a belief that with training, with hard work, you can change your traits that are seemingly fixed to other people, but you can grow and change them, and they're malleable. Just like when we were kids. When we were kids, we didn't have a lot of the intelligence that we do now. And especially when we do learn new things, our brain plasticity, basically how our brain links with each other and is constantly forming all these neural pathways, we make and malleable, and our brains are more flexible and grow more than we think. There was always this myth that there was a set amount of brain cells and that we didn't grow new brain cells, right? And that an old dog couldn't learn new tricks, which is false. You can learn new things. It may be a little bit harder as you get older, but doesn't mean you can't change. And the difference between somebody who can achieve their goals and somebody who can't is going to be these two beliefs. And sometimes through just taking action and getting evidence, reference experience that start to change your beliefs about what you previously thought were incorrect. Like maybe you're unattractive to the guy down the hall, or just you think that all guys only want a successful girl with 6 figures or a skinny body, and you don't fit the ideal type, right? And then so you have all these negative beliefs around that, when it isn't true. You'll see plenty of people in relationships where that's their stereotype. I know guys that love bigger girls. That's their preference. That love curvier girls that aren't just skinny girls, right? Same on the opposite side. There could be the stereotype that no girls like short guys. I'm 5'4". I had that stereotype for a long time. But then the more that I went out and got more reference experience, the more that I was a coach for like a huge dating company on live training programs, the more that I got on dates and relationships, the more that began to change. Maybe it is not the best trait that girls are looking for, but doesn't mean that it's the number one thing that's going to hold you back. Yes, there's girls that are going to automatically, oh, he's short, never going to date him. Does that mean all girls that are your type are never going to date you? There's a lot of girls or guys in the world. You don't have enough reference experience. Have you tried as hard? And then the more that you start to build this reference experience, the more that you start to disprove all of the different beliefs you had before, all the misconceptions, all your insecurities, and you start to change that through action. Action is one of the biggest things that'll change your life if you can continually take action and deal with the negative emotions that you feel. The reason why a lot of people don't take action is because of the negative emotion. Self-doubt. Self-doubt carries all these negative emotions. Rejection, failure. What does that mean about myself? That means I suck. I hate myself. Why am I ever going to continue? There's no point. I'm never going to make change, right? There's all of these beliefs, these butterflies, this weight on your shoulders, this hard to breathe sensations, depending on what you feel. Headaches, tension, clammy hand. We all feel different sensations in our body that make us not want to continue forward. The goal is not to never have self-doubt. The goal is to have self-doubt, but be able to not let those emotions mean so much, so that we can take the action to gain the reference experience to change our outcomes and our beliefs about what we feel. And when we can do that, and the more that we take actions, even if we don't believe it at first, the more that you take action, you'll start to gather enough reference experience and start to see facts that you're growing. There's even minute things of just, I took action today when I would have never taken action before. I'm growing a little bit every day. And this is like a emotionally charged thing that I feel important about. You'll be able to start making progress. Last thing, and this is the last thing is something that a lot of people leave out. And I think partially because a lot of people don't work with clients and haven't worked with people who have like these overwhelmingly crushing reactions to failure and rejection, because first, that's what we make. That's the meaning that we give it to it. Because since I used to be a dating coach on live training programs, helping guys get past fear, anxiety, approach anxiety specifically, to just go talk to somebody, start a conversation, go over to say hi, go over there, ask the time. For people with like massive social anxiety, just go over there, smile. Go over there, and when we're walking around, I just want you to look in people's eyes and smile. And just making that build up, right? When somebody doesn't look at them, when someone turns away, when someone is nice and then they say they gotta go, that could be completely neutral, and it was a win because they got the conversation going, they were social, but now they're so devastated because they rejected them, or that's what they perceived as a rejection, when sometimes it's not, it doesn't mean that. That in that moment, for whatever you were looking at, she generally had to go. But you make it so much about ourselves that now this means that it was rejection. Sometimes it is. Sometimes she just wants to get away and doesn't want to talk to you. Happens. You can't have everyone like you. And that's part of the process. And learning how to deal with the negative emotions, but learning with the fact that you're going to fail and you're going to feel shitty about yourself. And that you have this biased opinion of what is happening, and that you're probably going to overblow things when they don't matter as much as you think they do, right? And bringing back that level of focus, that diminishing and not over catastrophizing what this means. Okay, she had to go. Okay, she didn't want to talk to you. But you went over there and tried to start conversation anyways. You got past your fear and went over there, and that's more progress than you did before. Yeah, you may feel like shit, and you thought you're gonna marry this girl, and she was gonna carry all 5 of your kids, and you're gonna have your white picket fence and your 6 dogs, in this meadow in the countryside. But now, since she's like, I gotta go see my friends, that's all shattered, and now you're moping around, and now you think all girls hate you, and you're never attractive, right? That's where it goes. I've been on programs where we'll see this, and it won't even be a rejection. Like, she legitimately has to go, or it could be like it could be a rejection, either one. And now they're just absolutely destroyed, and they never want to talk to anybody ever again. The biggest thing that people need to learn, and that I needed to learn at the same time too, was learning how to deal with failure. In the new book that I'm writing, I call these failure skills. I'll go into depth. If you want to get the book, I'm going to be releasing that soon. More information in the description below. So check that out if you're interested in creating confidence and building a badass life. Working title, don't know exactly what the title is yet, but it's in the process of writing it right now. So from that, you're going to fail. How do you best deal with the emotions so that you do not destroy yourself in the self-doubt, the overthinking, the over-personalizing, the dread, now my life is over, now overgeneralizing, all girls will never like me because that one girl doesn't like me, and if these other girls keep rejecting me, that means I'll never make any progress. When you are making progress, or this guy didn't ask me out on a second date, or we went on a third date and he's not calling me back, what does that mean about myself? So you're going to fail. I can't protect you against failure, nor would I want to. You don't want to not fail ever again, because failure is where growth happens. Failure is where we take motivation, and that fuels us. For a lot of people, things would have never been created, progress would never happen if they never failed. So now it's like, how do I deal with the failure? How do I reconstruct failure to mean something else? A lot of the ways that we do this is cognitive reframing. One of the most powerful tools in psychology is looking at something, adding new information, looking at it from a different perspective. And this is not doing some bullshit affirmations. Affirmations can work for people with high self-esteem. Science has shown that if you have lower self-esteem, your confidence is shot to shit, and you try to do affirmations in the window and look at yourself, and you're like, I'm amazing. And you're like looking at yourself, it's like, look at that guy, he's so amazing. And you feel like shit inside and you do not believe it, you are gonna make yourself significantly worse. That's what the science shown. That's what the science has shown. But if you can look at it, your failure, and you look at it and you can, what is something new? Or how can I perceive it in a different way that makes me feel better about the situation? If I look at it as, this is an opportunity for growth. Oh, okay, I may have made a mistake, but now it's a way for me to learn. There's no such thing as failure, there's just learning. Whatever that belief is, whatever new information you have to add so that it changes the meaning. So you getting rejected from a job. Say you apply to 100 jobs, you got denied from all 100 jobs, right? What is the immediate thing? Let's take this perspective. I got rejected from 100 jobs. This means that I suck as a person and I'm not qualified to get any of those jobs. I'm never gonna get a job ever again, or I'm gonna have to settle for a crappy job. That's where a lot of people go. Some other people would be like, okay, I applied to 100 jobs. What can I learn? What I'm doing isn't working. I'm not gonna take it personal, because what me as a candidate and what I'm sending over, it could be my resume, could be what's on my resume, could be how my resume is written. Maybe I need to go about it a different way. Maybe I need to do something a little outside the box and talk to the marketing manager directly. Maybe I need to create a video. Maybe I need to mail something directly in the mail. This is an opportunity to learn. There's also a mindset of, I got this from Billie Jean is Marketing. One of their core values is don't make excuses, make it happen. So when this happens, it's easy to make excuses of why it happened and why you shouldn't try anymore. I don't have enough experience. They're all biased. I never went to a Ivy League school. I suck, I'm shitty. That's it. The other one is from here. Okay, what I'm doing is not working. What else can I do? How can I make this happen? Don't make excuses, make it happen. This allows you more flexibility and freedom to start thinking outside the box. This is the harder route as well, because you also have to be able to just look at those 100 rejections, and it's 100 things that didn't work. Thomas Edison failed however many times, 5,000, 1,000 times when creating the light bulb. I forget what the number is, but you could have taken that and taken it personal and made it seem like I am such a bad engineer because this is the 4,000th time that this has failed. And when I went to school, there's all these people who said that I was a genius and I could do anything, but now I'm not making this work. What the fuck, right? That might have happened, but did that stop him? No, because he kept going until he made the light bulb. So now are you gonna keep going until you figure it out? Until you figure out how to overcome your self-doubt to reach the goals that you want? Because if you're looking at this video, you wanna overcome your self-doubt or stop self-doubt because you wanna achieve something. Self-doubt is keeping you from, this is self-doubt, this is your goals right here. Self-doubt's keeping you from doing something, right? You just wanna be able to do it so you can go. But if you just allow self-doubt to be with you and then you're like holding hands and you're like walking along to your goal, is that fine? You don't have to absolutely destroy self-doubt. Self-doubt could be your friend. It's a different way to think about it. And it's a way that a lot of people just don't talk about it because there's such an obsession with positive thinking. And it's okay to have negative thoughts. It's okay to accept that you're gonna be negative. But how do I deal with those times when I fail? Because that's gonna happen. How do I build up my resilience? How do I build up new ways of picking myself up when I do fail? I talk about this inside my Badass Confidence podcast. I'll put the link below on different ways of failure skills and how to overcome, and like my favorite ways of being able to overcome this, because this video is already long. That would be another video for resource for you to look at. But think of times in the past where things were hard, but you were able to pick yourself up and do that anyways. Your past is a great indicator of places where you can take inspiration of and adapt for where you want to head, and to create a new habit loop in the area that self-doubt is holding you back, and create this new confidence and competence loop so you can take action, start getting your reference experience, and incrementally move. Sometimes you'll move forward a lot, sometimes you feel like you won't move at all, but you just keep going. And eventually you'll get to your goal. It's just, do you have the resilience to endure this journey? You do, but I want you to be able to find that for yourself. I know if you work on this, you can achieve this. But if you don't believe you can, it doesn't matter what I believe, right? So it's looking at how you can find that for yourself. And even if you can't find that, how can you keep taking action despite you not believing that you can? That's the real goal. Take action. Learn how to minimize your thoughts and your emotions. When you fail, you make mistakes, when you're not perfect, and when you experience things outside yourself that throw everything for a loop and turn everything upside down, and now you had a great day and now it's all gone to shit, quote unquote. That's what I want to say. It's being able to find all of those little things that you can do. This is going to be a progress. This is going to be a process for you. You're going to have to experiment with a lot of different things because we all are complex individuals. We have different motivators. We have different backgrounds. This is not as simple as giving you one silver bullet that may work for almost everybody, but in your case, it may not work for you. That's why I don't want to give you just a few things. In my book, I'll talk about all the different ways that I've been able to help clients and myself get past that. Not just fear, but not just self-doubt, but fear, anxiety, and all other internal experiences and obstacles. So I'll go into that a little bit more, but right now just look into your past of ways that you've overcome it. And if you haven't personally overcome this or have had those patterns and habits in other areas where you're successful, start to model other people. What have they done? Try new things. There's books, there's a lot of things that you can do. There's my podcast. You can look at my podcast for experience and look for other ways to overcome that. I talk about this in how to overcome fear and anxiety. I'll post it up here somewhere. You can click on that, and that applies to overcoming fear and anxiety, but it actually applies to overcoming self-doubt as well. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to list all of these instead of just recapping them of all the different things that we've learned right here, so that you can just have this as like a footnote, just to remember all of these things from this long talk that I just had. And the only thing I want to leave you with right now is what Mel Robbins said was, confidence is the willingness to try. Self-doubt is the willingness to not try. Start there. Start by taking small actions. Small actions and putting yourself out there. Prepare yourself for what might happen. Prepare yourself and gain some skills because it's going to be uncomfortable. For those people who are trying to put out their artwork, my friend, an inspiration for this video was one of my friends told me that he wanted to start putting out his drawing, but he doubted himself. He had massive nervousness and fear about putting himself out there. And also your artwork or whatever you have that's important to you, that there's that fear that you want to keep it inside because you don't want people to judge it. But you want to put it out there because where you want to grow, maybe you want to build a following and make this into a career, is putting your artwork there. So now just put it out there. Take those small steps. And if it's hard for you to put that little piece out there first, or just jumping out and putting that out, do something small. Okay, let's work backwards. What is something that I'm uncomfortable with, but out of like a 1 to 10 on my anxiety levels, my fear levels, it's more like, it's not a 10 where I'm absolutely in fear of doing it, that I can't do it, but it's more around like a 8 to 5. I can do it. It'll take some effort, but I can do that little piece. I want you to break down the parts that you're doubting yourself in right now, and instead of making it this massive goal that you're really afraid of, start to reverse engineer what are the steps that you can take now, and then start to build up to it. Because the more that you do, like, okay, from here, this is gonna be talking to a stranger, right? This is gonna be social anxiety. Maybe you can't talk to a cashier. Okay. What is a step before talking to a cashier? What can you do? Can you talk to somebody on the phone? Maybe you can talk to somebody on the phone. Okay, talk to somebody on the phone. That's like an 8 out of 10, but you can do it. Before talking to somebody on the phone, maybe you can talk to a friend and family member. Talk to a friend and family member. And then even before friend and family member, let's put this over here. It's visualizing, like maybe you can't talk to somebody on the phone, okay. Can you role play with a friend or family member of you talking to somebody on the phone? Or can you visualize yourself talking to somebody on the phone, or working with a coach where they talk with you pretending that they're a customer service person because you want to learn how to travel and get over your social anxiety. If you can't do that, what's before that? Maybe you work on talking to friends and family, just in general. Maybe talking to friends and family freaks you out a little bit. And maybe it's talking about certain topics. It's trying to emulate the same type of fear and hesitation and self-doubt. And then even if it doesn't seem like it's that related, if the initial emotion that pops up is related, it's overcoming the same type of emotion that's here, but this emotion is just stronger. So you can break it down to those levels and learning how to push past that self-doubt and accepting the self-doubt at that stage and learning to deal with the rejection, the powerful emotions, the thoughts that hold us back and that make us feel shitty about ourselves. And then you keep practicing that till that 8 out of 10 starts to become a 7, 6, a 5. And then you move forward. And then you just keep taking incremental steps until you can finally get to this point. Whatever this point is for you, start to reverse engineer what your goals are. And then start working on that. I go over this a lot more in my book. It'll be coming out soon. So on the bottom, it'll be free. When I initially released this book, it'll be free. So just check the link. Even if this video has been posted for a while, still check if it's free. Just go to the info will be inside the description below. Just go inside there and check out the book. This is something I've always wanted to write for a long time, and I'm excited that I'm making progress towards doing it. Same thing, fear. Writing a blog post, writing like thoughts, that I had to reverse engineer that same process. Get out there, take action, be bad ass. I will talk to you soon. Take care.